Hey, thanks for checking this out. We're taking a behind-the-scenes look at Christmas over these next 2 weeks. We're going to be examining just some different things about Christmas that you may not have known before. Definitely I did not know them before, but learned a great deal that there is so much within the celebration of Christmas, and all of it points to Jesus. Even in the name itself, Christmas. Why do we call it Christmas? Where does that come from? Obviously, Christ is in the name, but does must mean birth of Christ? Well, that's not really what it means. That's not even where it comes from. You know, when Christians gathered together many, many years ago, they took the Lord's Supper almost every single time they got together. And they got together pretty much every day for a long, long time. And they took the Lord's Supper every day, the cup and the bread. But that was also called communion. And over the years, another term in referring to the Lord's Supper, referring to communion, developed. It was called the Eucharist, which means to give thanks. And as Catholics would gather, and the predominant representation of Christianity during a long period of years, they called their gatherings where they would partake of the communion, of the Eucharist, they called it Mass, M-A-S-S, and they called it the Mass. Well, as time went on, they began to celebrate the birth of Christ at one particular celebration every single year. And they called that celebration of the birth of Christ, where they would come together, they would take communion, do the Eucharist, do the Lord's Supper. They called it Christ's Mass. And again, time passed, those two words kind of melded together, Christ's Mass, to become Christmas. And so the word itself lends itself to that idea of Christians gathering together to celebrate the birth of Christ. Christmas, that's what it's all about. But even further than that, I'm sure you've seen the abbreviation Xmas at places, and that isn't at all cutting Christ out of Christmas. In the Greek language that the New Testament was written in, our version, the English version, X, was in the Greek the actual first letter of Christ's name, Christ, Christos. And Christians for years used that symbol, the X, that symbol as an abbreviation for the name of Christ. And so when we say, or when you see it, around Xmas, that's not cutting Christ out. That is actually abbreviating, really even emphasizing the name of Christ in Christmas. So why do we call it Christmas? We call it Christmas because it's all about Jesus. We call it Christmas because it's a gathering of Christians to celebrate the birth of Jesus. And so that's just a brief look at why we call it Christmas. And now later on this week and even next week, we're going to take a deep dive into different other elements of Christmas. Why is it celebrated on the day it's celebrated on? What about the Magi? Where did they come from? What's the deal with them? In and among other things, as we, why do we have a Christmas tree? We're going to look at all of these different things, these behind-the-scenes look at Christmas. So I hope you can join us on those days. Thanks for catching it today. Make sure you like this video, maybe hit subscribe down on our YouTube channel, and I will catch you in the next one.